Well, hey everybody, it's Paul. Welcome to my channel. You know, it's been a little while since I've done one of my long, drawn-out, slow-moving, boring, but good to sleep to kind of videos where I tell a little bit of a story. And I thought I would do one of those today. I enjoy doing them, kind of thinking back about the old days, doing a little bit of reminiscing. And you can tell I kind of got a little tickle in the voice, so I thought it'd be a good opportunity to have a little bit of these. Not sponsored by anybody here, but these are these icebreaker ice cubes, peppermint. You know, peppermint always helps your throat a little, so I thought I'd hit a few of these. They come in the little balls with the little blue things in them, and they're good. If you're ever driving on a long trip, you're kind of getting bored, you know, these things really help keep you awake, keep you, not like from a drug standpoint. It's just like, for me, I think it's the chewing kind of, your brain gets into it, you know, and I don't know, it works for me, gets my attention back. And another thing, notice my eyes are red. That's not a medical thing. No need for concern. Not doing anything illegal. No drugs involved. That is simply just a function of having just gotten out of the shower. Because I know you guys want your money's worth. I don't want to come in here with a bunch of hat hair all messed up. I want to be perfectly coiffed. Right? Isn't that like a 10-cent word? Have your hairdo all done. I think that's coiffed. I'm not even sure. Could be wrong. And drop another 10-cent word. That's a highfalutin word. And that is a real word. Highfalutin. These ice cubes really give you a lot of flavor. They have like I think they're little flavor crystals in there. And you start chomping on those, and it releases a bunch of wonderful flavor. Peppermint. Good stuff. So, let's talk about the birds and the bees. Or, more aptly, how I learned about the birds and the bees. In order to tell the story properly, let me take you back. Way back. Now, this is, I know I got a lot of young people that watch now. This is a time before the internet, even before computers, before having a cell phone, even before having a bag phone. Oh yeah, I'm talking about the old guy being a young guy. I'm talking like 6, 7, 8, 9, somewhere's right in there. Early 70s. I was born in 66. So in the early 70s, they had people walking around that would later become known as boomers. And I tell them about computers and cell phones because nowadays there is the whole world's information at your fingertips. So if you wanted to learn about the birds and the bees, that is very easy nowadays. If you were a 7 or 8 year old boy wanting to know what a woman looks like, that is at the touch of a button. That wasn't quite the case back in the early 70s, let me tell you. Not for a 7 or 8 year old anyways. My dad was not around much at all. I've told you guys, I got a video where I do about a 30-minute piece on my old man. He was not around to do the talk. And in other words, I never really had the talk. So boys at that age, 7, 8, whatever it was, we get curious. We want to know, you know. Nowadays, I think they address so much of that in school. Now, I can't remember exactly what age it was, but I do know it's got to be about first grade because my buddy Gary and I, we were like best friends. then I would trade up. I would always have like one best friend. I'd have other friends, but only like one best friend at a time, kind of like. So we'd be best friends. Then I'd trade off, and then Dale would be my best friend, then Sean be my best friend, and John be my best friend, Denny be my best friend. So. Now in those days, they didn't have like a CVS on every corner, or Rite Aid, or Walgreens. They had your local drugstore. That's what was on my corner. I had a gas station and a local drugstore. It was like no name, not like a Rite Aid or anything like that. It was a locally owned. Usually the guy that ran the pharmacy would generally be the owner. Things were different back in those days. For example, I don't remember exactly what the drinking age was, but it doesn't matter. The point is, my buddy Denny was way closer to 8 years old. I think he was 7, 8, 9, than he was to 18. He couldn't even see above, you know how the counter where you go put your items, he would be about maybe eye level with the counter. But you gotta understand, everybody knew everybody back then. And this is, I've waited long enough because I had to wait long enough for the statute of limitations for all the crimes discussed in this video. His dad, Denny's dad, liked his beer, and I won't use any last names because it was funny the other day. A comment come up on one of my old videos about White Castles, and it was from a buddy of mine, Timmy, that lives not far from me, and he actually left a comment on one of my real old videos about White Castles, talking about how back in high school, how we would skip class and drive over and get White Castles and stuff like that. So Denny's dad loved his beer, and he would send Denny down. We lived about half a block away from the end of the street where the drugstore was. Send Denny down with his $10, or I don't have a clue what a 6 or 12 pack would have cost back in those days, but let's say you'd send him down with the $10, plenty enough for it. And sure enough, Denny, everybody knew what he would get, like a Budweiser or whatever. And Denny, I mean, he'd have to lift it up to put it on the counter, and then hand him the $10 or whatever, and they'd give him the change, and here you go, no questions asked. Because I mean, like I say, he was like 8, not 18, but that's just how it was. They knew it was for Denny's dad, so there was no problems. So my buddy Dale had a cool thing, like they had an alley between your garage and then the other neighbor's garage, and we were able to dig like this big trench. I guess you'd call it like a trench or hole or something. You know, all of us guys go over there and we'd have like dirt clod wars, you know, where you'd pick up these pieces of clay and be flinging them back and forth. And we had, they were great, they were pea shooters, so you could put some peas up at Casper's store, would sell peas. You would put them in, hard peas, you put them in your mouth and go, you know, and you could spray your buddies with your, it'd shoot out a plastic straw and be so we'd have these wars during throwing dirt clods and hit them with pea shooters. And then Dale had a dog called Nipper, and aptly named, but he had a tent. I don't know, it was like maybe some old army, it just seemed like some green pup tent, they called it, a pup tent, whatever. It was just like a very basic thing, but you know, us guys would get in there and we'd like, you know, steal a candle from the house, and our guy'd have some matches or something, you know, and we'd go around picking up butt ends of cigarettes, you know, like, you know how people throw a cigarette out the car and it's got like this much left. And so we were, I'm telling you, we were, you know, for 8-year-olds, we were the rough crew, right? So it was cool. Everybody wanted to be in the club, you know, go to the tents and have the fort. Now, I'd never seen the Godfather movie, but maybe I was pretty clever at this point in time. But I always figured if you're going to do something wrong, it's better to get somebody else to do it for you than to do it yourself. In case things hit the fan, things went bad, you know, you want to, wasn't me, right? Don't they call that plausible deniability in today's parlance? Anyway, us guys wanted to see what women were made of, you know. We're curious. Well, the only way we knew to do that was at the back of that drugstore. At the very back was the pharmacy. And right about where the pharmacist would walk in, and they had different, you know, items for sale, they had a stand where they had a Playboy. But they wouldn't show you the Playboy. They had the Playboy bunny covering over everything but where it said Playboy, more or less. But we knew, some way we knew, that's what we needed. That Playboy was the Holy Grail. That is what would teach us everything we needed to know. But they wouldn't sell it to us. We're just little kids. We wanted one of Playboys. So I don't know if it was me or Dale. It might have been me. Come up with the idea that, well, Gary, you want into the club. You want to be part of this fort deal, don't you? Oh, yeah. I want in. Well, got this little initiation, you know, to get in. It's not that big a deal. All you gotta do is go down to the drugstore, go in the back. They got a Playboy thing there with a cover on it, but you just go in there, you get that magazine, you know, and look like you're shopping around or something. You know, wait till the pharmacist isn't looking, and you get in, put it under your shirt or whatever, and bring it in here, and you're good to go, you know. Now, I should say, the old guy has never stolen anything personally. I've never been in trouble with the law. I don't do bad things. I have no criminal record. I don't even get speeding tickets. I have before, but I haven't had one in probably 20 years. So this is going back about 50 years ago. So I think we're clear. So Gary done that. He did it brilliantly, apparently, because he brought it back. I thought, wow, this is pretty good. And I'll tell you, he had a couple really interested readers there for a while, but the fun didn't last long because the word got out, and it got out in a hurry. Back then, they had this device called the phone book, the white pages, and like most everybody was in the white pages or something. I don't know. All the neighbors knew everybody else, and everybody knew everybody's phone number, and the word got around. But quick. I'm telling you, it was fast. I think there was some corporal punishment involved, some groundings involved. You know, groundings were where you were forced to stay in your room, and talk about boring, because back then, like I say, we didn't have computers and cell phones, nor anything fun that could be done in your room. Really, us kids wanted to be on our bikes, outside, playing, running. Being locked up in your room for a week or what, it seemed like life in prison. I mean, it was bad. But I'm happy to say it must have worked, because we all turned out. As far as I know, none of us have a criminal record, and all had pretty upstanding jobs. So I thought you guys would like to learn how I learned about the birds and the bees. Thanks always for stopping by and spending a few minutes with the old guy. It's always a pleasure doing these videos and knowing you guys are watching them. So till next time, we'll see yous.